Within the Igbo system or culture, there are certain activities or actions that we consider to be an abomination. For this video, I'm going to be going through 10 actions that we consider as abomination. So stay tuned and watch to the end. The first activity on my list here is adultery. Adultery on the part of the woman and sleeping with another man's wife on the part of the man. Now, in communities like Enugu, it is said that when a woman sleeps with a man who isn't her husband, she is going to be afflicted with madness. Now, this ordinance was ordained by their ancestors through a deity that they refer to as Nna. But the difference here is that this particular ordinance does not affect the men. So men have the privilege to cheat or have extramarital relationships, while the women are expected not to have extramarital relationships. We should also note that this particular thing, it's not necessarily the Igbo culture. The Igbo culture permits polygamy, but it does not permit promiscuity on all angles. But the people of Enugu have so rooted this particular thing within their culture to hold women accountable. Now, it's wrong for them to hold women accountable without also holding the men accountable. But generally, when a man perceives or suspects that the wife is cheating on him, he's expected to immediately stop eating her food until she confesses and appeases his chi and also his ancestors. Going on number 2, we're going to be talking about the forbidden snake or eating of the eke, the python. Now, within the Igbo system, the eke is considered to be a sacred animal, an emissary to the deity Ani or to water deities like Njaba or Idenili. So within the Igbo system or within communities that basically perceive this eke sacred, they do not kill it and they do not eat or harm it in any way. Now, in communities like Newi, they perceive this particular eke as Wadiana. And when it is found within a household, they're expected to gradually take it outside the bush or allow it to grow out on its own. But for whatever circumstances, this particular eke is being killed or harmed by these indigents, they are expected to bury it as you would bury a loved one. Funny, right? The Igbo people believe that nobody can create life, therefore nobody can actually take life. This makes suicide, murder, including abortion, as an abomination in Igbo land or Igbo culture. Therefore, when somebody engages in abortion or basically murder or kills anybody within the system, they are expected to go through the rites of Ekwaro, the right of ritually cleansing that particular abomination. Now, in terms of suicide, the Igbo system, how we approach suicide here is that the person who committed that suicide would not be buried within the confines of his father's compound. He or she is expected to be taken out into the evil forest and buried there. Even the bringing down of the dead body that is hanging in whatever form that person took or committed that suicide, the people that are being taxed with removal of such people are people that we refer to Ndisinanri, Akabondinri, or midgets that originate from Nri communities. Coming up is incest, and I believe that almost every culture, not just limited to Igbo, even in the Western world, they perceive this as some kind of abomination because they believe that the blood mix can basically give birth, or these people will basically give birth to abnormal children or children who are not functioning fully. So even if because of separation or division, these people don't know that they are related, and eventually they find out that these people or the couple are actually related, that marriage would first of all be dissolved, and the rites of Ekwaro would also be performed in order to ritually cleanse that abomination. It does not matter if they are not aware of them being related or not, they would have to ritually cleanse off that abomination. Number 5 for my list here is homosexuality. The Igbo people believed that when they give birth to a child is expected to give birth to another child. So the Igbo spirituality, Igbo culture is fixated on things that are going to promote life, and homosexual activities do not promote life and they do not promote procreation. So this becomes one of the reasons why homosexuality is basically considered as an abomination within the Igbo system. Coming up on number 6 is interacting with individuals that we refer to as Osu. We need to understand that the current perception of what Osu is wasn't what our ancestors understood as Osu. We look at Osu by thinking that they are the people that our ancestors considered as being inferior to individuals that we consider to be Nwadiana or Nwadiala. This wasn't the interaction back in the day. Now, or people, they say that Osu are people that were dedicated to shrines or dedicated to ancestors. These are all Eurocentric interpretations of what Osu is. Now, Osu within the Igbo system could appear for several reasons. The first one being that a person could go into a deity because of social injustice. This person or this family could be maltreated by somebody that isn't perceived to be influential within the Igbo community. Now, that person going into that deity and seeking for shelter are people as a way of self-sustaining themselves or saving their own life and their own lineage. So these kinds of people goes or falls under the protection of these deities, and by going under the protections of these deities, the citizens or other people are looking at them as people that you should not interact with or relate to, because the deity can easily kill you or strike you if you mistakenly harm or hurt that person, even without you meaning it. So because they fall under the protection of these deities, the indigents or other people, the people that look at as Nwadiala, decides to stay off these individuals. Therefore, they try to not allow their people to marry them, so that they will not basically be named Osu, and people will not want to relate or associate with them. And the second reason why a person or a family or a lineage is being referred to as Osu could be as a result of an abomination committed. For instance, murder, which is considered as an abomination. Now, indigents or people, a person that commits an abomination, in a Navy, for instance, these people are expected to go on what we call Ewa or Sochu, running away from the crime or running away from the murder that has been committed within the Navy region. So once that happens, this person could go into another land and become an Osu there, because that person does not have straight ties to the land. And when the person comes back after running away for 7 years, that person is still considered to be an Osu. Now, people do not want to relate with that kind of person because of that stigma that is attached to that person's crime. So because of that, they decide to not interact or mingle with that particular person. So this is why we say we do not want to interact or marry within the Osu family. But currently, I do not see it as anything, and I believe that we should not be paying for the crimes of our fathers. So if, for instance, your family or any family that you know is deemed as an Osu, I would basically advise that you go into the village and find a way to basically resolve that status, because I believe that all man is equal and everybody should be respected. There is equality in every angle of our society, and we should respect people. But at the same time, we should also understand that the Igbo interpretation of what Osu is does not fall under the European scope or European standard, that some people were considered to be superior and the other people were considered to be inferior. This is just a misconception. Moving on. Number 7 here is being in an unblessed marriage. Within the Nnewi culture, when a woman is not properly married, what we look at as Ewangwani, when a woman is not being properly married, then her children or her daughters would not be married at the same time. They would first of all have to perform the traditional marital rites of the mother first of all, before performing the traditional marital rites of the children. Now, aside that, Igbo has its own significances. First of all, by the libation being poured by the woman's father, what is trying to signify there is to alert or to tell the woman's ancestral spirit that this woman is about to be married into another family. And by doing that, they are also ushering the woman into the traditions and customs of that other families. So what her family considers as unso would also, what her husband's family consider as unso would also now be attached to her as well. So this is the reasons why Igbo people consider being in an unblessed marriage as an abomination. Number 8 is blessing or breaking of the kola by the woman. We believe that onye wetere oji wetere ndo. So in a gathering of men, women are not expected to basically bless the kola nut. But when a woman is in her private chambers praying to her ancestors or to her chi, and also when they are having a woman's meeting, women there are expected to basically bless and break their kola by themselves. Now, this is just to show you that in our society, we believe in balance. For instance, again, we have the Ozo society, but in Navy, we also have a feminine aspect of this particular prestigious organization. We call those women Omuwanyi Chiri Ekwe Enono. So while the men participate in Ozo title taking and they perform their Ozo rites, these women perform their Ekwe rituals. So within the society, just like we have Omunna and Omwada, within the Igbo society, there is some sort of balance that comes together. So what we're trying to say here is let the men do theirs and let the women also do theirs. Now the problem is when the woman wants to perform things that are meant for the men and when the men wants to perform things that are meant for the women. Although to an extent there is some fluidity, and there are sometimes when this whole thing interacts. For instance, when I said that a woman can bless and pray with her kola in her own private chamber, or when the women are having a women's organization or women's meeting. Again, in some situations, when they are in a certain gathering and the kola nut has been presented, the eldest woman within that place will be showed the kola nut as a sign of respect. So this culture does not mean that Igbo people devalues women, but it shows that everybody is given respect according to their position, according to their gender, and according to what they represent and stand for. Number 9 is the destroying or destruction of ancestral shrines or symbols of worship. Our ancestors believe that what you do not keep, you do not have any right to take it. So if you do not keep an ancestral offer, you don't have any right to destroy an ancestral offer. If you did not institute or install any ancestral shrine, you also do not have any right to destroy it, because destroying them means you're spitting on the face of your forefathers, because you do not know the reasons why they were brought into the family and you do not know how they were instituted. Now, going against this mandate means that you are going to be afflicted with some kinds of misfortune and some kind of sadness within your life or in your life. So it's better you just basically allow all those things to exist, especially if you do not bring them in yourself. So, but if you really do not want to basically have that effigy or those things in your heart for whatever Christian or Eurocentric reason, then you have to engage individuals that understand that particular system, that understand how to remove it without basically spitting or insulting your fathers at the same time. Finally, on the number 10 on my list, I'm going to be talking about Unmasking a Masquarade. The 10th action that we consider as an abomination in our system is unmasking a masquerade. We call it Eta Mong. Now, the masquerade organization in Igbo society is also a covert organization. There are some things you do not basically say in the public, especially when it's a masquerade secret. You do not share them in the presence of initiates, and especially you do not share them in the presence of women, because they will have the tendency to take that secret and share it out to another person. Now, another reasons why women do not really participate in some of these Igbo ancestral practices is because that a woman has a tendency of marrying outside her community, outside her lineage. So women and their sweetheart and their emotions. So it is possible that during the heat of emotions, she can basically reveal the clan's secret or the masquerade secret to another communities, which could be used against them. So to basically prevent these kinds of things from happening, these kind of activities are reserved mainly for men. But men are the only people who basically go into this masquerade cult, except women who have passed their menstrual cycles, or women who are at their menopause age, that they can basically be what you look at as Now she can basically be involved in masquerade activities, and she can be told masquerade secrets. Now, for men who are uninitiated or who do not belong to masquerade cults, it becomes an abomination to basically share these masquerade secrets with them. Now, again, another thing that we look at as this unmasking the masquerade is calling out the name of the person that is wearing a masquerade, because we look at masquerades and we look at this masquerade as the representation of our ancestors, of our dead ancestors. Now we call them more for a reason, because they are spirits. They are now human beings within a spirit. Now when we look at this masquerade, because you know the individual within the masquerade and you call out the name of the individual within the masquerade, it becomes an insult and it defeats the purpose of, you know, calling a particular masquerade or the masquerade more. So that's it, guys, and for now these are just the top 10 abominations in Igbo land. Now most of this abomination has to be ritually cleansed. Now they have certain rites and certain protocols that our ancestors instituted that have been used to basically curb the effects of, you know, the after effects of people that commit this masquerades. And some of them are the rituals that we look at and call them Igbo arrow. Now this Igbo arrow, an essential tool for performing of this Igbo arrow rite, is what we look at, or is what we call autopsy. Autopsy, a device that is used to extract omission from the earth's energy and basically make it whole. So there are several things, and some of these videos I'm going to basically do some of these things that I mentioned in this video. I'm going to do an elaborate video on it afterwards, like the autopsy and also in Igbo spirituality or in Igbo culture, to basically help us understand and navigate properly. And until next time, if you're new here, don't forget to follow us in all our social media and also support our channel wherever you can. And until next time, yeah guys, yeah.